Hi there, welcome to this module, which is going to be focusing purely on the entry signals for the trend surfing strategy. Now, I know sometimes when you look at it on the whiteboard, it might always not be that clear. So I thought I'd move on to the price charts, and then everything hopefully will come together and you'll see exactly what we are looking for. The follow-on video will look at exits as well as the entries, so we'll put it all together so you can see how to exit the trade. But this is going to be purely on the entry signals. Now, I'm using backtesting software called Forex Tester. This will enable me to scroll through the charts using the multi-time frame analysis. So whenever I update on one chart, it's going to update on all the different time frames as well. Don't think you can do that on MT4. So Forex Tester is a great platform to be able to demonstrate this on. Now, as with the whiteboard, I'm going to be using multi-time frame analysis. So we have three different time periods. You've got the daily down here in the bottom right. Okay, then we have above, we've got the 4-hour time period. And then scrolling back or moving over to the left, we've got the 1 hour. Now the 1 hour is going to be the chart where we're taking our entries and exits from. But we have multi-time frame analysis. So you have to have the same setup appearing on multi-time frames for the setup to be valid. Now you recall there's two arrays of moving averages. We've got the fast moving array and we've got the slow moving array. I've coloured the fast moving array blue and the slow moving array is going to be red. If the blue, the fast-moving averages, are above the red, the slow-moving averages, then of course we're going to be looking for buy trades only. And that needs to confirm on all time frames for the trade setup to be valid. Now, I'm going to scroll through the charts on the 1 hour and looking for setups. And if nothing happens, then I'm going to pause the video until I find a setup rather than waste time me just scrolling through saying nothing, nothing, nothing. So don't be alarmed if you see a gap in the timeline or a swap between another currency pair or so forth. I'm just going to hop around. I just want to give you a general idea of what we're looking for on the entries. And I'll say the next video we'll talk about the exits as well. Okay, so here we are now on the XAU against the US dollar. So you can see here on the daily chart in the bottom right, the array of moving averages are nicely fanned out. You've got the faster moving averages above the slower moving averages. That basically means that we're looking for buy trades. They're nicely spaced out, all pointing up, which is signaling that we're looking for buy signals only. Then we drill down to the 4-hour time chart and we can see exactly the same again. The 4-hour array of moving averages are nicely fanned out and they are pointing up as well. So that is confirmed on the 4-hour as well as the daily. Now once they've been confirmed, they remain valid until price comes below and trades lower and closes lower than the 60 moving average. So we don't need to look at the 4-hour and the daily again. They've been checked off. We then drill down to the 1 hour looking for our specific entries. Remember, we need to see the same type of setup. We need to see the same array of the fast above the slow, all pointing up and nicely fanned out. Not happening there at the moment. They're bunched up and price and the lines are all a bit crisscrossing there. So we wait to see. I'm just going to scroll through to see indeed what happens. And you can see price is just doing what it's doing, coming back down. Remember, looking back here at the 4-hour, it's still valid because price has not closed below the 60. So we're still looking for buy trades here, but we're looking to see a fanned out moving array. And they're almost becoming fanned out now. And in fact, they are fanned out now. So now we're waiting for a pullback into the 21 moving average. Okay, there's our pullback into the 21 moving average. You can see here on this black line, pierced through, closed through. We actually pierced through the 60, but still closed above, so it's still valid. If this closed below the 60, then it would be invalid. But it closed higher, so we are still on and still have a potential trade setup. So now we're looking for the trade to continue in the direction of the trend lines and we're looking for a break of the local swing high. Now the local swing high you can see here is going to be 303.20, but we have to add on a 14 ATR to that. So down here the 14 ATR is around 31 pips, which is about there, 31. Okay, so we add that on and we give our entry in here at 303.51, which will be about there. So that is our buy stop. Okay, and with our buy stop, we also place a stop loss order, which will be below the 60 moving average minus 14 ATR, which in this case will take us down to 301.69, which will be down about there, roughly. There you go, place it in there, 170. But you're getting the general idea, missed it by a pip. But you get the general idea. So that's our pending buy stop order, and we'll now scroll through to see indeed what happened here. So it trades back down, still haven't closed below the 60, so it's still valid. And there enough, we hit our pending buy order, and indeed, it looks on this case, we hit TP1 straight away as well. So that is a classic entry, pull back into the 21, and then a continuation, break the recent swing high. Now, once you've taken that trade, of course, we would have moved our stop immediately below the 60 moving average to the tune of 114 ATR, which would have been 45 pips below there at that time. So we would have moved that back up to there. Okay, so just moved on a few days and we find another setup in the XAU US dollar. You can see here on the daily, the moving averages are nicely fanned up. The faster moving averages are above the slow moving averages, which means we're looking for buy trades only. Not quite the same on the 4 hour. So it's checked off on the daily, but not yet on the 4 hour. So we're going to scroll through on the 4 hour until we see the moving averages fanned out. And I think you'll see there, if I just make that screen a bit bigger, you'll see, yep, they're nicely fanned out there now on that candle. So now the 4 hour has been checked off. So we've got alignment on the daily and the 4 hour. We now go back down to the 1 hour and look for a potential setup. You can see the array of moving averages exactly the same again. The fast moving averages above the slower, nicely fanned out. And we just scroll through, waiting now for a pullback into the 21 moving average. Almost touched it there, not quite. And up we go again. And almost touched it there. And indeed, we have a touch there. So now we have a potential buy order coming in. So we need to place a buy stop above this local swing high plus 14 ATR. So we can see the swing high was at 304.90. The ATR down here is trading at around 50. Okay, so we're going to put in 50 pips onto the swing high. That puts our entry at 305.40. And we'll put a pending buy order in there. Okay, and we need to place our stop loss order 14 ATRs below the moving average, which will take it down to 302.70, about there. Okay, so we have our pending buy stop and we have our stop loss order as well. Now clearly, as market moves back up to our buy stop, the moving averages will also move. We will need to move our moving stop as well, our stop order as well, just below the 60 moving average to the tune of 14 ATRs. Let's just scroll through to see indeed how this trade panned out. Okay, and we hit our buy stop as well. So we're in the trade and we place our stop order, which will be now, the ATR is now at, still about 50 pips below 303.33 will be 303.73. Not a great deal of difference. So it's basically where it was when we put the initial pending buy order in. That's another perfect little trade setup in the trend surfing strategy. Let's scroll on, see if we can find some more. Okay, so now looking at the daily XAU US dollar again. Moving on, we are seeing fanned out moving averages on the daily, so that's a check. Now looking for the same to happen on the 4 hour, not happening at the moment. The 4 hour moving averages, or the fast ones, are pointing down, so that's not concurring with the higher time frame. So we just keep scrolling on through until we see the 4 hour moving averages move and go into a fanned out. That could be a fan there, just making it a little bit bigger so we can see. Yeah, I think so. I think that's basically a fan out there, all heading in the same direction, no crisscrossing. So then we now go back to the 1 hour chart and look indeed for some entries. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll through the 1 hour chart, looking for a pullback. They are fanned out on the daily, so on the hourly. So this is going to be potential setup looking. Okay, there we have a touch of the 21 moving average. Okay, and you would indeed be placing your buy stop above this level here, plus an ATR being about there, I would have thought, and the stop loss level will be down below the 60 moving average with an ATR buffer. Okay, and indeed markets trade on. We haven't closed below the 60, so the trade is still valid. Okay, now we have closed below the 60, basically invalidating this trade setup. So now that we've closed below the 60, we take these trades off and move on, waiting for the next one, which is keep scrolling ahead. Okay, now we're seeing some nicely fanned out moving averages again on the daily and on the 4 hour in alignment. We're now seeing a fan out moving averages coming into the 1 hour as well. Let me just move those lines off. Waiting for a pullback into the 21. Didn't quite touch it there. And there indeed is a touch. So we're now going to be looking for a buy entry, which will be a 14 ATR above the high, recent swing high. So that will basically come into 305.34, where we place a pending buy stop, and our stop loss level will be 14 ATRs below the 60 moving average. It's in about there, and we'll see indeed how this pans out. So we trade lower, we maintain above the 60, so the trade's still good, and there enough, sure enough, we have a buy entry. So a buy entry triggered. We've surpassed the recent swing high by 14 ATRs in the direction of the trend, and another classic setup. Okay, so now we're going to look for a potential sell setup. So I'm starting off again, as usual, on the daily chart. Just keep an eye. I'm going to scroll through, waiting for the faster moving averages. That's the blue array of moving averages to trade below the red moving averages, the slower ones, and for them to be fanned out. And they've just dipped below there, not fanned out yet. Not quite fanned out there. Almost going that way. I think they might be fanned out there. Yeah, I think that's nicely fanned out. Certainly the next bar is fanned out, so the daily has checked off. Moving averages nicely fanned out, pointing lower. And now we need to see the confirmation on the 4 hour. Okay, so just scrolling through now on the 4 hour. Watch up here, waiting for them to be fanned out to the downside. Not there yet. Possibly there. Definitely there. Now we see that the 4 hour has checked off. Okay, so the daily's confirmed, the 4 hours confirmed. We now go back to the 1 hour chart, looking for a pullback into the black 21 EMA. There's a touch of the pullback. So we place our pending sell stop below the recent swing low, which will be down here to the tune of 1 ATR, and the ATR at the moment is 3.51. So that is going to be down about there. So we hit our sell stop there, and we're going to place our stop above the 60 moving average plus 350. So that's going to be up there. Very roughly drawn, of course. Okay, so let's now scroll through and see how this one played out. Okay, back up to the 21. We haven't taken out the buy sell stop yet. Might come back up. Okay, there we are. We've taken out the sell stop, and we now trail our stop below the above the 60 moving average plus a 14 ATR. So that's now 14 ATR is now trading about $3. So $3 above 1603. So it will be basically there. So we've moved our stop and we'll see how it plays. Now clearly as the price moves down, we need to trail our stop down as well. And our first profit target will be down here at 1-to-1, which is going to be about there. Okay, another good trade. As I say, we'll discuss the exits in the next module to see how this would have played out. But for now, that was another classic. Okay, let's keep scrolling on. Okay, so here we are on the bottom screen. That's the daily. Looking for the blue array to be below the red array, indicating sell opportunities. I think they're almost fanned out there. Not quite heading up, so we'll just ignore that. Let's see, this is heading up. You want to see them all pointing in the same direction. Okay, just scrolling on through. Now there you are. There we've got a little setup going on there. So just to confirm, all heading down, all nicely spread out on the daily. So that's the check. Then we look back up at the 4 hour, and they're nicely separated there on the 4 hour. So that's a check. Now back to the 1 hour over here, looking for an entry. Waiting for a pullback into the 21 EMA. And there we have a pullback. So now we're going to place a sell stop order, and that is going to be placed below the recent swing low with an ATR to consider of about 357. So that is going to be about down there. And the stop will be placed at about there as well. So we place the sell stop, which is above the 60 moving average to the tune of 114 ATR. Okay, we'll just scroll through and see if this trade gets triggered. It's not looking so good. Pierced the 60 moving average there, but didn't close above, so the trade is still valid. Now it has pierced and closed above the 60 moving average on the 1 hour, so that trade is now off the table. So we will ignore that trade and remove it, and keep on scrolling through to see if we can find another. So I'm going back to the daily now. Scrolling through on the daily. We're still fanned out on the daily, so we're still checked off there. So I'm waiting now for the 4 hour to be confirmed in the same direction, and it's not there at the moment. The blue averages are above, so it's not concurring at the moment. Waiting for those moving averages to fan out on the 4 hour. They're fanned out about there. Just to confirm, they're nicely fanned out. So now drilling back down to the 1 hour, looking for an entry. So scrolling through, looking for a pullback into the black 21 EMA. Okay, there we go. There we've now got potential trade setup going on. As you can see, these were nicely fanned out, pointing in the same direction. So looking for a swing low below the 60, below the local swing low with an ATR. So that's going to be in around there, and the stop will be placed above here. Okay, and we'll scroll on through to see how this played out. Okay, so we are now short, hit the sell stop. Our stop has pretty much hasn't changed really, so we would generally move this behind, trail behind the 60 moving average. And of course, when you're trading this live, you need to be doing this every candle, but we do have an expert advisor that's going to do all this for you. But you need to trail that stop behind the 60 moving average. But we'll talk about more of that when we get onto the exits in a moment on the next module. Okay, oh, and well, that one didn't work. That one got stopped out immediately after 2 candles. came back, took out the stop. That's the point of having a stop. Not all of them work, of course. So that's just an example of one that didn't work. Well, look, hopefully I've given you some good insights there into the entries of the trend surfing strategy, and a few buys, a few sells, and even one there that got stopped out at the end. In the next module, I'm going to be talking specifically about the exits. So please make sure you watch that, and then you should be well equipped to go back and do some back testing and then get trading this in your own time. Any questions, as always, please do drop me a line in the regular way on email or in the chat. Thank you.